Friends, we will continue with the topic of the TDS, wherein we have to look at the procedures involved with respect to the TDS. See, any process to get evolved, ultimately it is the experience. With that, the process gets evolved. Today, if I want to lay down a system, I just can't lay down a system without experiences. Even if I try to copy down a particular system, still there needs modification of it based on the realities and experiences which we face. All this talk I am making for the simple reason, with respect to the TDS also the procedurals are very frequently getting changed. It is not to be blamed like government frequently makes the changes in the procedures, because on one hand complexities in the transactions are getting increased, on the other hand information technology is rapidly changing. The facilities which we have are getting increased. At the same time, we are living in India where still good number of illiterate with respect to the information technology still continue to be there. So keeping in view of all this, they are slightly coming forward with the proposal and going backward with the proposal. What I would like to tell you is, earlier in the Finance Act of 2009 and all, they brought a beautiful provision by stating that now the deductor, we want to relieve him from the concept of issuing the TDS certificate. Let him collect, pay the same to the government, file the return, so that the certificate will be generated by the authority and the payees can very well download that particular certificates. Then they said there are certain practical difficulties in making this to happen, that then they said deductors should continue with issuing the TDS certificate, but electronically using the digital signature. They can download and can electronically make a digital signature and take a printout and give it. Then that also they found some difficulty and they said parallelly we run both the systems. That is, entities are allowed to manually also issue the TDS certificates. But not that the reverse we are making is a permanent reverse. Once the system gets established, probably a day we will see when we don't need to do it. See, in case if certificates are to be given to 10 or 15 people, yes, but in a concerns or in an entities like Nizam Institute of Medical Sciences, probably there could be some 1000 TDS certificates they have to do it. Then probably it is a very big headache for them. Probably this could very well relieve them from that particular burden. So now few things which we would like to make note of it is issue of TDS certificate in Form 16A. The deductor being a company including a banking company to which Banking Regulation Act of 1949 is applied, and any bank or institution, they can issue the TDS certificate in Form 16A generated through TIN central system, and which is downloaded from TIN website with a unique TDS certificate number in respect of the sums deducted on or after first day of April 2011. So with respect to the TDS paid on or after 1/4/2011, now the deductor can very well download the TDS certificate electronically and can give it to the payee. Then director being a person other than companies and banks, what we are saying is they can also go to the TIN cell, that is a TIN website with a unique TDS certificate number. They can take a certificate and give it as a point. But however, what happened is they are allowed to do it manually also. So authentication of TDS certificate in form 16A, what they say, the deductor issuing TDS certificate in form 16A by downloading the same from TIN website shall authenticate such TDS certificate either using the digital signature or the manual signature is a point. So this is basically after 1/4/2011, and CBDT also issued a circular TDS. There is a circular 3/2011 dated 13th May 2011. What we say, for some people it is being made mandatory now, for others it is an optional one. To whom it is mandatory to download the certificate from TIN website and authenticate the same through the digital signature or digital signature and all is that is a banking company, any bank or banking company including banking company, cooperative society. So for corporate SSEs now it became a mandatory thing that they have to download the TDS certificate from the website of TIN and then either digitally sign or manually sign. For all others it is only optional kind of thing. That is it is optional for them to download from the NSDL website and they can digitally or manually sign. Of course they can also normally sign when they don't have the digital signatures. So ultimately the point that should go to you as a examination point of, from the examination point of view is, write down the point number 1, for companies brackets including banking company in respect of the sums deducted on or after 1/4/2011, on or after 1/4/2011, it is mandatory to issue TDS certificate in form 16A, generated and downloaded from TIN website with unique TDS certificate number, and such certificate can be signed digitally or manually. Such a certificate can be signed digitally or manually. Then friends, the Other things like sectional reference, if you need to have, what is it? Earlier also I told TDS certificate can also be issued in the electronic form using the digital signature. Subsequently they have reverted it and they said manually also it can be signed. See, you have to furnish a statement of, that is a tax deducted at source. That is, authority or the agency permitted by the government will generate that form 26AS. That is, individual can very well go to the income tax site and they can download that form 26AS. What is that form 26AS? It contains who are all the different people who deducted the tax and paid in respect of a particular SSC. Let us suppose I am doing the services, professional services to 10 nationalized banks. These 10 people are deducting the tax at source and remitting the same to the government. Then when I go and see in my form 26AS, I will find all the people who filed their e-returns of the TDS, that amounts which they paid on my account are going to be reflected there. Of course, practical difficulties are always coming, friends. Let us suppose I have got 10 banks, 3 branches of the different banks are not filing their e-returns. Consequently, what happened is, in my 26AS that TDS is not getting reflected. Now I got a demand notice from the department stating that in your 26AS there is only 1,03,000 rupees of the TDS, whereas you are claiming that you got 2,06,000 rupees of the TDS. So we raise the demand with the 234BC interest. Then again we have to take all the manual certificates to them and show. Then they are asking us to go to the banks, different banks who have not filed their e-filing, to do it and all. But hopefully this time, since it is being made mandatory for the companies to generate the form 16A from the TIN website only, naturally banks are forced to now, or companies are forced to make the e-filing of their returns. Other way around, they will not be able to provide that form 16A. Earlier, how the people used to do, they used to write manually and sign it manually and give it. Now since it is being made mandatory for them, either them or we also don't accept for manually written, manually signed. Digitally, what is it? Downloaded one, manually signed, accepted. So this is one aspect. Credit of the tax deducted, that is the central government or the authority approved by it will create a, what is it, your form 26AS is the point. Then that is one procedural angle, and since all of you are in the final and you might have seen these practical difficulties which I explained just now. Then penal provisions, if I look at the penal provisions, penalty comes when the law requires you to do something, and if you don't do, then the penalty comes into the play. What type of penalties we have? 271C. What is 271C, friends? Anyhow, as a separate topic also we are going to discuss the penalties. That's the reason why I am not making you to write here. 271C, failure to deduct the whole or part of the TDS, or failure to pay the whole or part of the corporate dividend tax, failure to pay the whole or part of the tax on winnings from lotteries and crossword puzzles. This all will get attracted to the penal provision. The penalty is the amount equal to the tax not deducted. Amount equal to the tax not deducted. Then 271CA, friends, failure to collect the whole or part of the tax. We have a concept called as TCS, which we are going to study subsequently. So failure on the part of collection of the TCS tax also under the TCS provisions will also equally attract the penal provision, that is the amount of the tax which such person failed to collect. Then we have 272A2, that is failure to furnish within the due time that particular statements, failure to deliver in due time a copy of declaration, failure to furnish the TDS or TCS certificates, failure to furnish a statement required under section 192(2)(c), failure to deliver in due time a copy of declaration, failure to deliver a statement within the time specified under section 206(a)(1). So what all is expected to happen, like deducting the tax at source, remitting the same to the government, and giving the certificate, taking the declarations for lower rate of tax or no rate. For all these things, time bound programs are there, and if you don't carry out those things within the time, then for every failure, 100 rupees for every day during which that particular failure is continuing to happen is what you have to make a note. And in case if you are supposed to deduct the tax at source, and if you don't apply for the TAN number, or having applied and got the TAN number, wrongly quotes that particular TAN number on challans and all, the penalty can go up to the 10,000 rupees. So now we have the offences and prosecutions. Prosecution could be like failure to pay to the government, 3 months fine, 3 months of imprisonment, and also fine can be put on you. Of course, maximum is you may be put to the jail for 7 years. You means the officer responsible, person responsible for deducting the tax at source and remitting the same to the government. So also the TCS, if there is a failure also, there 3 months prison along with the fine, maximum it could go to the 7 years as a point. See, processing of the statement of tax deducted at source. You are filing your return. Just like your income tax return, you are filing quarterly your TDS return. Then prima facie they can process your return, and they can check the correctness of what you are stating there. Possibly what kind of mistakes that they may notice is wrong rates of tax to be deducted, or certain incomes which are supposed to come into a different head are being brought to a different section. These kind of things they can very well correct it, and accordingly they can raise the demand or can refund. They demand what? They demand the penalties, they demand the interests, and if there is a shortfall in the deduction, they may ask for the shortfall of the deduction in the tax to be done with. These are the things that they can do with the processing of the statements of the tax deducted at source. But in any case, friends, please do remember, this intimation, just like your 143(1) intimation, this intimation of TDS also shall not be sent after the expiry of 1 year from the end of the financial year in which the SC is filing the TDS statement as a point. So any intimation cannot come after 1 year from the end of the financial year in which that particular statement or the return is filed. There for income tax returns or for the TDS returns, the same principle do apply. So this is one thing you just make note, that is section 200A, processing of statement of tax deducted at source. Processing of a statement of a tax deducted at source. That is by doing the processing of TDS return, by doing the processing of the TDS return, the following errors may be corrected. A. Arithmetical errors. B. Incorrect claims. etc. And thereby intimation shall be prepared, thereby intimation shall be prepared and generated and sent to the deductor, shall be prepared or generated and sent to the deductor. Specifying the sums determined, specifying the sums determined to be payable by or the amount of refund due to him, amount of the refund due to him. Of course, what is apparent from the statement can be corrected through this particular intimation. Write down, note, no intimation under section 200A, no intimation under section 200A shall be sent after the expiry of 1 year, from the end of the financial year, in which a statement is filed, Then friends, see, if you need to deduct the tax at source, if you don't do it, having deducted, if you are not paid, you shall be deemed to be an SSC in default. Once if you are SSC in default, we can very well levy the interest and penalty. Now what is that interest? That is section 201, what is stated? That is the interest part of it from the date when actually it is to be deducted till the date you have deducted 1% interest. From the date you deducted to the date you have paid, 1.5% interest per month is to be levied as a point. These are the a few things. That is, write down what is the consequence of a failure to deduct or pay the tax. Consequences of failure to deduct the tax and pay the tax. Consequences of failure to deduct the tax and pay the tax. That is, number 1, SSC shall be deemed to be in default. SC shall be deemed to be in default. Deemed to be SSC in default. Deemed to be SC in default. And then he shall be liable to pay interest under section 220. He shall be liable to pay the interest under section 220 and a penalty under section 221. Penalty under section 221. Then friends, interest, make a side heading, interest. That is, what is interest? 1% for every month. 1% for every month. Since this is important, I am making you to write, because problems are coming on this, questions are coming on this. Interest at 1% for every month. 1% for every month or part of a month, on the amount of such tax, from the date on which such tax was deductible to the date on which such tax is deducted, to the date on which such tax is deducted. Number 2, at 1.5% for every month or part of a month, from the date on which such tax is deducted, to the date on which such tax was actually paid. Then friends, write note: no order deeming a person to be an assessee in default shall be passed after the expiry of 2 years from the end of financial year in which statement is filed. Or 4 years from the end of the financial year, or 4 years from the end of the financial year in which payment is made or credit is given. So you should be very careful. Of course, these time limits are being fixed because other way around there is always a possibility wherever income tax people get annoyed, they may make the people to be SC in defaults by showing one or the other simple silly reason. That's why we framed these time limits. Of course, this time limits is for the respectable people. Why I am using the word respectable people? Because after all, that fellow failed to file the return. That is the reason why 4 years time, because he paid it already. Only failure is on filing the return. That fellow is also a respectable fellow. And if he paid as well as filed the return, but there are some defects, 2 years time is given maximum harassment के लिए. But for people who are criminals, no time limit for issuing that particular type of, for deeming them as an SCC defaults. वो कहां है? The debtor has deducted but not deposited. Employer having accepted to pay the tax on non-monetary benefits, not paid it. And deductee is a non-resident. Then for them the time limits are not there. So here a question is there. What is the time limit for passing a penalty order under section 201? Penalty order under section 201, just now we have studied, you can't levy penalties after 2 years, after 4 years. But without any time limit you can pass the penalty orders for those who either having deducted not paid, and then employers who agreed to pay tax on non-monetary benefits not paid, and if the deductee is a non-resident. A small question like this can come. A company pays rupees 10 lakhs to measures ABC without deducting the TDS on 10/10/2011. Company files quarterly return of TDS on 15/1/2012. It filed the return. Return file करे तो 2 साल. From the end of the financial year in which the return is filed. 31st March 2012 is the end of the financial year. तो कब तक दे सकते? Any penalty order 2 years. 13 and 14. 31st March 2014 तक दे सकते. A company pays rupees 10 lakhs to measures XYZ without deducting the TDS. Company does not file the quarterly return of TDS. If company does not file the quarterly return and company also not deducted the, what is it? They have not deducted, not paid, not filed the return. We are not considering them as frauds. Fraud is who? The one who deducted and not paid. तो उनके लिए तो टाइम लिमिट नहीं है. इनो जो करे वो उतना गलत नहीं है क्योंकि he has not deducted it. Of course उतना गलत नहीं है बोले तो it's not that we will leave him 4 years time. Penalty order can be levied till 4 years. That means 4 years means 13, 14, 15, 16 तक दे सकते. तीसरा आइटम, company deducts 1 lakh TDS and then company does not deposit the TDS and then files the quarterly return. Having a deducted not depositing means criminal. तो उसके बारे में तो कुछ टाइम लिमिट ही नहीं है, कभी भी दे सकते हम पेनाल्टी ऑर्डर. बाद में कंपनी पेज 10 lakhs to a non-resident without deducting the tax at source. Non-resident payments है तो that is a failure because administratively it is very difficult to collect that particular tax at a later date. No time limit for passing the penalty order. Similarly, company agrees to bear the TDS for non-monetary requisites but it don't remit the same. Then this is also a crime. So without any time limit. Like that you have to remember the things. Hope you will be able to remember because you have had made a 2.5 hours of the patient's listening. If last 5 minutes of what I taught you are missing means again rewind the video and listen again because these are the things which were repeatedly tested. Penalty orders, time limits for issuing that penalty orders and all that, penalty proceedings and all. Then friends, we go to the last leg of concept discussion, tax collection at source, section 206. It's not much like what you have in TDS. All provisions which are there for the TDS are equally applicable for TCS also, except that you should know what is this concept of the TDS. To TCS. Generally TDS what happened? Payer is deducting the tax while making the payment to the payee. TCS is a reverse concept. TCS is a reverse concept. That is, here payee obligation is there on the payee. So every person being a seller shall at the time of debiting the amount payable by the buyer to the account of the buyer, or at the time of the receipt of such amount from the said buyer, whichever is earlier, collect from the buyer a sum equal to the following percentages. In earlier situation is what? Chakravarti is rendering services to Vardhan. Vardhan need to make the payment to Mr. Chakravarti. Who is deducting the tax at source? Vardhan is deducting the tax at source. Now in this TCS concept, what is it? Chakravarti makes a sale of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Right? Now Chakravarti need to collect the tax from Vardhan. How TCS is reverse from the TDS, I think all of you are able to get the point. In earlier situation, I am rendering professional services to Mr. Vardhan. तो वर्धन डिडक्ट कर रहे हैं, पे कर रहे हैं. अब इसमें क्या है? टीसीएस में चक्रवर्ती मेक सेल ऑफ अल्कोहलिक लिकर फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन, तो कलेक्ट उनसे करके हम पे करना पड़ता. दिस इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट मोर ऑफ ए सर्विस टैक्स कॉन्सेप्ट. सर्विस टैक्स में भी क्या हो रहा? सर्विस प्रोवाइडर कलेक्ट्स फ्रॉम द सर्विस टेकर and remit the same to the government. In that fashion only, in the TCS concept, you have, but you should know under what circumstances these TCS provisions are coming. It is when the sale happens of a specified goods. What are those specified goods? Alcoholic liquor for human consumption at the rate of 1%, tendu leaves 5%, timber obtained from forest on lease 2.5%, timber obtained by any mode other than forest lease 2.5%, scrap 1%. These are the situations in which these TCS provisions are coming with respect to the sale. And other things are, every person who grants a lease or license or enters into a contract with others for otherwise transfer any right or interest in any parking lot or toll plaza or mine or quarry. There, if you are entering into an agreement for that parking lot and all, then the TCS for parking lot is 2%, toll plaza is 2%, mining of and quarrying 2%. So like that you have to deduct, that is collect the tax at source and remit the same to the government. This is for sale of specified items. And second is on lease, if you are taking that parking lot or toll plaza, or if you are giving on lease the parking lots or toll plaza or mining and quarrying. There the TCS provisions are coming into play. Of course, here also dematerialization of TCS certificates happen. They have to download the same from the site and digitally sign it or manually assign it. The same provisions do make an application. So as a student, what you are supposed to know is what are the list of items for which TCS provisions do apply. That list, if you are through with, rest of the provisions are similar to what you have in the, what is it, your this thing only. Which one? TDS only. Of course, in case of a foreign buyer, that is a foreign company happens to be the buyer, then 2.5% of such tax where the amount of aggregate collection is exceeding 1 crore. Of course, further educational cess of 3% is to be levied as a point. But just like in case of TDS, where no surcharge educational cess is there for the resident SSCs, even with respect to the TCS, surcharge and education cess shall not be levied on the resident buyer is the point. Write down few points just. Section 206, Section 206C, that is, every person being a seller shall at the time of debiting the amount payable to the buyer, payable by the buyer, collect from the buyer, and every person who grants lease shall collect from the licensee the tax at the following percentages. Put two column friends. Particulars, percentage of purchase price. TCS as a percentage of purchase price. A. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption. 1%. Kendu leaves 5%. Timber obtained under forest lease. 2.5%. Timber obtained other than forest lease, 2.5%. Any other forest produce, 2.5%. Scrap, 1%. Parking lot, 2%. Toll plaza, 2%. Mining and quarrying, 2%. Of course, remaining aspects I am not making it right. No surcharge or education cess for the residents, and for foreign companies and all, if the amount exceeds 1 crore, then you have to levy the, your educational cess at 3% is a point. With this, I am completing the concept discussion on the tax deducted at source and the collection at source, and we will take up in the next session, that is on our past examination questions. See, your confidence level goes and grows only when you see or again re-listen all the things which you have studied, how in the question and answer format it is coming. So that will help you to keep the points, and those points only repeatedly are being tested. So the next session to follow, I have about 15 previous examination questions to be discussed with you, and this topic appears to be a topic which frequently visits and revisits the CA final paper. Thank you.